Donald Trump puts up a sign with 20-foot letters in Chicago in his Trump Tower there, and the mayor, a bunch of people are upset because it's all his ego and it's ruining their skyscape and all that whole stuff. And it was just kind of an interesting conversation as people were going back and forth on how they were upset about his name on there. I've been in churches where there's like plaques everywhere. If you've ever been to one of those, I've been to a church once where like every 20 feet on a pew there was someone's name had paid for it, or on a wing of a building and so forth. And so here's the question: when a Christian kind of turned it away from Trump, but there's still ego involved. When a Christian gives to a church, how much recognition should they expect? A, none. They're just doing what God expects them to do. B, plaques for large gifts are great if they help bring in the cash. Or a C, we should keep a running tally of the top 10 givers in the church on our website to motivate competitive giving and shame those who don't.
Competitive giving.
There's
Did you see my tithe this
Did we
month?
talk about that? There's a church that keeps like a bulletin board with the top 10 givers.
More than
no, it's not the good. It's the people who don't give, right?
Oh.
I think that's who was on the board.
I know of churches that will send out lists of their top. I've heard of. I mean, I don't.
That's pretty rough. Here's
Wow.
the deal. I went to a wedding a couple weeks ago, and it was at an older church, and there was a plaque. There was a board full of plaques, and basically they had like 50 or 60 plaques on it of all the stuff that people had given throughout the history of the church, who did it, and what year they did it. And the very first plaque was the guy that donated the board to put the plaques on. I thought, I don't want anything to do with what goes on here. Like, there's nothing that appeals to me. If I thought you were going to take my money and buy a plaque with it, I feel like I would give it to a different church. Or maybe just a dude that needed help or something. Like, I don't know. I couldn't be any more against plaques of any kind. I couldn't be any more against it. If you are giving for any reason apart from either obedience, because you need that type of obedience in your life, or out of generosity. Those are the two reasons I want to see you giving to the Lord. Apart from that, anything apart from that is just you're not giving it for the right reason.
I don't think I will ever look at a plaque at a church the same again. I guess I never really thought about why the plaques are there, but that makes plenty of sense.
They're often memorials.
Answer
or,
A.
Yeah, I'll buy a pew, but you need to put my name on there so everybody knows I've done it. And I want 2 slots for the hymnal, double hymnal.
I've often said, "Oh, go ahead."
I think we're A around the room on this one.
Yeah, I think so.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I've often said keep the tombstones in the cemetery, not in the church building. It's insane. But I've seen it go crazy with that stuff.
Here's the deal: is I don't know how to have I talked to somebody about this one time a long time ago, and I couldn't decide on how to have that conversation with them. Like anybody, I just feel like this is gonna sound terrible, but I just feel like that anybody that finds that to be okay. We don't have anything in common. Like we come from such different camps that I feel like we couldn't even have a reasonable conversation about it.
Yeah.
I mean, could I be that wrong? I don't feel like the plaques are a good idea ever.
No, we had a similar conversation actually as we were preparing a building campaign. It's like, that people do all kinds of things to raise money, and like part of our conversation was like we raise money the way we always raise money. Like people either give or they don't give. Like what we're not going to do is like offer anything. What we're not going to do is like, try to prod them around. Like either they're giving because God wants them to, and they're being obedient, or they're not. Like any extra measures we have to take in, it's not blood money, but it really feels like blood money. And I don't, just a Mickey about that. We're not salesmen, and we're not called to be, and so we're not going to be. And there's an element of that where like, I know why people do it. But it's just like you can do that somewhere else. It's a question of why is the church involved? Can you, if you want to memorialize, put a bench out in your front yard with your grandma's name on it, like thumbs up, do all you got to do, make one of those stones, put it in your garden. That's sweet. But like the church really just doesn't need to be involved in that type of thing.
So we're not going to raise money for the communion table. Do this in remembrance of Bill, John, Sally.
Yeah.
I hope the church never has anything in remembrance of Troy England.
Of me and the following benefactors. Did you watch how Troy brought it back to himself? Hey, by the way, how can I put my name in this?
Man, I need to change my ways.
It's a rough night, Mofa.
I'm sorry, guys. Wow.